So in this video, I'm going to discuss the first 20 questions of the 2021 A-level paper. So the first question, which of the following is a non-reducing sugar? The answer is the fifth one. So here ribose, galactose, they are monosaccharides. So all monosaccharides are reducing sugars. Lactose and maltose are disaccharides. Those two are reducing sugars. Sucrose is also disaccharide and it is a non-reducing sugar. So the answer is the fifth one. So all monosaccharides, and from the disaccharides, lactose and maltose, they are reducing sugars. The second question, which of the following statements regarding the plasma membrane is correct? The answer is the second one. Second one says phospholipid molecules are movable and provide a fluid nature to the membrane. That is correct. So these are the phospholipid molecules. So they have the head and the tail and they are movable, and because of that they give fluidity to this membrane. So we know the structure of the plasma membrane is called the fluid mosaic model, and the fluidity is because of these phospholipid molecules. Mosaic nature is because of the embedded proteins. The first statement says it is mainly composed of carbohydrates, phospholipids and proteins. That is wrong. It is mainly composed of phospholipids and proteins only, not carbohydrates. It has carbohydrates, that is true, but it is not a main component. The third statement says that peripheral proteins are attached to the outer surface of the membrane. That is wrong. So this is the external environment and this side is the internal environment, and you can see peripheral proteins, they are attached to the internal environment. They are attached to the inner surface of the membrane. So the third statement is wrong. The fourth statement says that the phospholipid bilayer enables cells to communicate. That is wrong. This cell communication is actually a function of these proteins. The fifth statement says that hydrophobic tails of phospholipids attached to cytoskeletal fibers. That is wrong. So we know there are proteins embedded in the membrane and they will actually bind to these cytoskeletal fibers you can see here, and thereby help to maintain the shape of the cell. So fourth and fifth statements are wrong because this communication and maintaining the shape, they are functions of proteins, not phospholipids. The third question, select the correct subcellular component function combination. The answer is the second one or the fifth one. Second and fifth both are correct. Glyoxysomes, they don't transport residue materials. This is done by lysosomes, and this is correct. Smooth endoplasmic reticulum, they produce transport vesicles. That is correct. Rough endoplasmic reticulum, it does not do this. This metabolism of carbohydrates is a function of the smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Synthesis of glycoproteins, this is not a function of the nucleus, it is a function of the rough endoplasmic reticulum. And photorespiration by peroxisomes is correct. So there are two answers, the second one and the fifth one. So this is the cells. So we can see the rough endoplasmic reticulum, the smooth endoplasmic reticulum, the peroxisome, lysosome, and of course the nucleus. So the answer is either the second one or the fifth one. Then the fourth question, it is about meiosis. So they have given 4 events of meiosis and we have to arrange them in the correct order. So centrosomes move towards opposite poles forming the spindle. This is a part of prophase. Formation of synaptonemal complex, this is part of prophase 1. Pairs of homologous chromosomes arranged on metaphase plate. Crossing over of chromatids. So here this is meiosis. So we know meiosis has two portions, so meiosis 1 and meiosis 2. So actually the statement A, B and D, they are actually belonging to prophase 1. So in prophase 1, we know centrosomes will move towards the opposite poles. That is statement A. Then formation of the synaptonemal complex. Statement B, that also happens in prophase 1. And statement D, crossing over of chromatids, that also takes place in prophase 1. And then statement C, pairs of homologous chromosomes arranged on the metaphase plate. So these are homologous chromosomes. So that happens in metaphase 1. So the order is the order is B, D, A, and C. So here we can see statement B, a formation of the synaptorenal complex. Then statement D, crossing over takes place. Statement A, centrosomes move towards the opposite poles forming the spindle. And finally statement C, homologous chromosomes arranged on the metaphase plate. So the answer is the fourth one. The fifth question, which of the following statements regarding photosynthetic pigments is correct? We know photosynthetic pigments, we have chlorophylls and carotenoids. So the answer is the third one. The third statement says chlorophylls and carotenoids are located on the membrane system of thylakoids. That is correct. We'll see the other statements. The first statement, chlorophylls absorb yellow and blue light and reflect green light. That is wrong, because chlorophylls mainly absorb red, blue and violet light and they reflect green light. So not yellow, they don't absorb yellow, so that is wrong. Second statement, chlorophyll B prevents the formation of reactive oxidative molecules. That is wrong. That is a function of carotenoids. So carotenoids, they do this photoprotection and they will prevent this formation of reactive oxidative molecules, not chlorophyll B. That is wrong. Third statement is correct. Fourth statement is wrong, because they say in the fourth statement they have said these carotenoids and chlorophyll A absorb light corresponding to the same wavelength. That is wrong. They absorb light corresponding to different wavelengths. So they have mentioned specific range wavelengths corresponding to different colors. That means different wavelengths. The fifth statement, according to the action spectrum, chlorophyll B is more effective for blue and red light. That is wrong. It is given in the resource book itself. According to the action spectrum, chlorophyll A is more effective for blue and red light. So that is wrong. The answer is the third one. The sixth question, it says in the light dependent reaction of photosynthesis, what happens? So we have to choose the correct statement regarding this light dependent reaction of photosynthesis. So this is the light dependent reaction. This is the linear electron flow, and this is the cyclic electron flow of the light dependent reaction. So the first statement, cyclic electron flow occurs in photosystem 2. That is wrong. So firstly we have photosystem 2, then we have photosystem 1. Cyclic electron flow occurs only in photosystem 1. So that is wrong. Second statement, both linear and cyclic electron flows produce ATP and NADPH. That is wrong. So in the linear electron flow, we can see they produce ATP and NADPH. That is true. But in the cyclic electron flow, they only produce ATP. NADPH is not produced. So the second statement is wrong. Third statement, primary electron acceptor of photosystem 1 reduces NADP and yields NADPH. That is correct. It is given in the resource book as well, and you can see in this diagram. So NADP is reduced and NADPH is formed. The fourth statement, photosystem 1 gets electrons from splitting of water. That is wrong. So here splitting of water occurs in this stage. So the electrons will actually be gained by the primary electron acceptor of photosystem 2. So the splitting of water, this step is related to photosystem 2, not photosystem 1. Then the next statement, excited electrons at primary electron acceptor PS1 pass through an electron transport chain to PS2. That is wrong. So electrons always pass from PS2 to PS1. So here excited electrons are flowing from PS2 to PS1 through the electron transport chain. So the answer is the third one. The seventh question, which of the following statements is the most important in explaining the Darwin-Wallace theory? So Darwin-Wallace theory is the theory of natural selection. So here they have mentioned that Darwin made two observations. So the first observation is populations of a species vary in characteristics, and the second observation is each species produces more offspring than the environment can accommodate. So they have given this statement as the fourth answer, so that is the correct answer. So if we see the other statements, the first statement says organisms acquire suitable adaptations according to the needs of the environment during their lifetime. That is actually part of Lamarck's theory. The second statement also, adaptations acquired during the lifetime are passed on to the next generation. That was all said by Lamarck, not Darwin and Wallace. Then the third and fourth statements, they have mentioned about genetic material or genes, genetic factors. So Darwin and Wallace in the theory of natural selection did not discuss about these genes. So the answer is the fourth one. Eighth question, they have given three genera in this order. So we have to choose the organisms which have circular chromosomes, histones associated with DNA, and several kinds of RNA polymerases in that order. So we know when we talk about organisms, so there are three domains: bacteria, archaea, and eukarya. And if we talk about these circular chromosomes, so circular chromosomes are found in bacteria and archaea. Then histones associated with DNA you can see in some archaeans and all eukaryotes, and several kinds of RNA polymerases you can see in domain archaea and domain eukarya. So here in this I have highlighted in blue color all the organisms which belong to domain bacteria, and here in blue color all the organisms that belong to domain bacteria, and here in pink all the organisms that belong to domain eukarya, and Methanococcus halobacteria in green, these are archaeans. So circular chromosomes, it can be bacteria or archaea, so everything is correct here. Histones associated with DNA, it can be archaea or eukarya. Archaea or eukarya, so it cannot be Salmonella and Anabaena because they belong to domain bacteria. So because Salmonella and Anabaena, they don't have histones associated with DNA because they belong to bacteria. Then several kinds of RNA polymerases we can see in archaea and eukarya. So archaea and eukarya, again we cannot see several kinds of RNA polymerases in bacteria. So the second answer is wrong, third is wrong, fourth is wrong, fifth is wrong. The correct answer is the first statement. So circular chromosomes you can see in bacteria, histones associated with DNA you can see in amoeba because amoeba belongs to domain eukarya, and several kinds of RNA polymerases you can see in Methanococcus because it belongs to domain archaea. The next question, they have given two statements, statement A and B, and we have to say whether they are correct and whether they are supporting each other or not. So this first statement A, seedless vascular plants are evolutionary closer to hornworts than to mosses. So this is the order of evolution. So firstly, in land plants, we had non-vascular plants. Then they evolved into vascular plants. So firstly, seedless vascular plants and then seed plants. So in this evolutionary order, here we can see seedless vascular plants. Here we have hornworts and here we have mosses. So we can see seedless vascular plants are actually closer to hornworts than to mosses. See, hornworts and seedless vascular plants are basically next to each other. So statement A is correct. Statement B, seedless vascular plants, they are spores. That is correct. So seedless vascular plants, they don't have seeds, and spores are their method of dispersion. So that both statements are correct. The thing is, these two statements, they are not related to each other even though they are correct. So the answer is the fifth one. Both A and B are correct and A is not supported by B. Then the 10th question, it is about Protist. So they have given structures present in Protist and we have to choose the correct organism. So multicellular thallus, contractile vacuoles, pedicle and cell wall. So Protist, mainly we have, when we talk about Protists, we have algae and these protozoans. So in algae, we can see these common features. We can see multicellular thallus and we can see cell walls in these algae. And basically, in protozoans, we have specialized structures. So when we talk about the pedicle can be seen in this euglena and paramecium. So these drawn in this line, so they have labeled it as well. We can see a pedicle in euglena and paramecium, and contractile vacuoles are not present in algae. So here we can see contractile vacuoles are present in amoeba, paramecium, and even euglena. So if we consider the answers, so multicellular thallus, you can find it in all these algae. So sargassum, ulva, gelidium, they are all algae, so they are correct. Then contractile vacuoles, you cannot find them in diatoms. So diatoms are these really small organisms and they have cell walls made of silica. And they are also called golden brown algae. So yes, they do have cell walls. So here, if we eliminate the wrong answers, we know diatoms, they are algae, they are golden brown algae. They don't have contractile vacuoles. And pedicle, we can find pedicle in paramecium and euglena. So the third organism should have a pedicle. It is not found in amoeba. Here 1, 2, 3, pedicle is not found in ulva because ulva is an algae. And here paramecium has a pedicle. Sargassum does not have a pedicle, it's an algae. And the cell wall, so ulva, gelidium, diatom, all these, they have cell walls. If we consider the fourth statement, so sargassum has a multicellular thallus, paramecium has contractile vacuole, amoeba does not have a pedicle. So the answer is the second one. The 11th question, which of the following indicate two features found in organisms of the same phylum? Okay, so here if we consider the features of the organisms, we know this is regarding echinodermata. So they have an endoskeleton made of hard calcareous plates and they don't have a heart. So this statement A, heart absent, endoskeleton present. So these two features belong to the same phylum, which is echinodermata. So A is an answer. Then statement B, heart absent, jointed legs present. So when they say jointed legs, it is obviously arthropoda, but the thing is they have a heart. So B is wrong because these two features, they don't belong to the same phylum. So they have given jointed legs and don't have a heart. That is wrong. It should be jointed legs and has a heart. So B is not an answer. Then statement C, anus is absent, tentacles are present around the mouth. So these are both these features can be seen in phylum Cnidaria. So we know they only have a single opening, which is the mouth, and tentacles are found around the mouth. So C is an answer. Then statement D, anus absent, show asexual reproduction. So asexual reproduction can be seen in this phylum Cnidaria, and again the same thing. They don't have an anus, so those two features can also be seen in the same phylum, which is Cnidaria. So the answers are A, C, and D, and the answer is the fifth statement. The 12th question, which of the following statement regarding companion cells is correct? So companion cells are found in phloem tissue and they are found adjacent to the sieve tube elements. The first statement says they are dead at maturity. That is wrong. They are living cells at maturity. The second statement, they help in phloem unloading. That is correct. We know companion cells, they help in phloem loading and phloem unloading. So second one is the answer. The third statement, they connect with adjacent cells by desmosomes. That is wrong. They will connect by these plasmodesmata. So desmosomes are found in animal cells. So in plant cells we can see plasmodesmata. The fourth statement, they are present alongside each seed tube element in gymnosperms and angiosperms. That is wrong, because you can see here they have said in seedless vascular plants and gymnosperms, seed tube elements and companion cells are absent. So they are found in angiosperms but not gymnosperms. So the fourth answer is wrong. The fifth statement, their cytoplasm is reduced and present as a thin layer. That is wrong. See, when you compare the companion cell to the seed tube element, they have a thick cytoplasm and they contain most of the organelles needed for the functioning of this seed tube element. So the fifth statement is wrong. The answer is the second one. So the 13th question, select the correct statement regarding plant leaves. The answer is the fifth one, because see, plants inhabiting very cold environments bear the smallest leaves. That is correct, because in cold environments we have to reduce water loss, so plants will have very small leaves. If we consider the other statements, the first statement says leaves are arranged vertically in some plants to capture light efficiently in low light conditions. That is wrong. So this is an example of a leaf found in low light conditions, and they are arranged not vertically, mostly horizontally, because then they can capture light efficiently. They can increase their surface area and capture light efficiently. So in high light conditions, the leaves tend to be vertical, then they can avoid the absorption of excess light and they can save water then. So this is an example of a leaf in high light condition. This is an example of a leaf in the low light condition. So vertical leaves are mainly found in high light conditions. So the first statement is wrong. Second statement, in monocot leaves, chloroplasts are more abundant in palisade mesophyll cells than spongy mesophyll cells. That is wrong. So actually, in monocot plants, mesophyll cells are not differentiated like in dicot plants. So differentiation like this can only be seen in dicot plants. So that is wrong. The second statement is wrong. Even if it was found in monocot plants, it's wrong, because palisade mesophylls, they have more chloroplasts than spongy mesophylls. The third statement, angiosperms can be identified due to the net-like venation of leaves. Not all angiosperms. Net-like venation is present only in dicot leaves. The fourth statement, arrangement of leaves on the stem is not called leaf orientation, so that is wrong. Arrangement of leaves is called phyllotaxy. The fifth statement is the correct one. That is true, because in very cold environments or very hot environments, the plants will have small leaves to minimize water loss. The 14th question, so they have given events that occur during phloem translocations in angiosperms according to the pressure flow hypothesis, and we have to arrange them in order. So this is phloem translocation according to the pressure flow hypothesis. So firstly, what happens is, so we know this translocation occurs from a source to a sink. So source produces sugar and sink will store or use sugar. So firstly, this sugar, that means sucrose, will be loaded from the source to the seed tube element. So when sugar is loaded, the water potential in the seed tube element decreases. So to correct that, water will flow from these xylem vessel elements into the seed tube element. Thereby, it will create a pressure. So a pressure gradient is created. So there is more water here, less water here. So high pressure here, low pressure. So this will flow from high pressure to low pressure. So after it reaches the sink, it will unload this sugar, the sucrose, into the sink. So when the sugar is unloaded, again the water potential here will increase, and to correct that, the excess water will flow back into the xylem vessel element. So statement A says flow of water into the seed tube from the xylem. B and C are given, so the order is C, A and B. So C happens first. reduction of water potential inside the sieve tube element, C. Then B, flow of water from xylem into the sieve tube. Then finally B, generation of positive pressure inside the sieve tube. So the answer is the fifth one, C, A and B. The next question, atmospheric air is the only source for carbon. So we know all the other elements they have given in the resource book, they can be obtained from the soil solution. Even oxygen can be obtained from the soil solution, but carbon, it can only be obtained from atmospheric air. So this is the answer. The 16th question, some characteristics of two species of plants are given below. So A, they have a dominant sporophyte, gametophyte is reduced, sporophyte and gametophyte are photosynthetic and independent. B, sporophyte is dominant and photosynthetic, gametophyte is reduced and partially dependent on the sporophyte. So if we consider these plants, so we know Nephrolepis, this is the life cycle of Nephrolepis. Nephrolepis has a dominant sporophyte and a reduced gametophyte. And both sporophytes and gametophytes are independent and photosynthetic. So the species A is basically Nephrolepis. Then if we consider Selaginella, Selaginella has a dominant and photosynthetic sporophyte. But the thing is, gametophytes are reduced and short-lived, and they have clearly mentioned these gametophytes will depend on the sporophyte. So they partially depend on the sporophyte. So if we consider the plants, that means species A is Nephrolepis and species B is Selaginella. So this is Pogonatum. In Pogonatum, the sporophyte is not dominant. In Pogonatum, the gametophytes are the dominant plants. So in this question, both species A and species B, their dominant plant is the sporophyte. So it cannot be Pogonatum because Pogonatum has a dominant gametophyte. Then this is Cycas. So if we talk about Cycas, they do have a dependent gametophyte. So, but the thing is, in Cycas, the gametophyte is totally depending on the sporophyte, whereas in Selaginella, it is partially depending on the sporophyte. So, that is the difference. So, in Cycas, the gametophyte totally depends on the sporophyte, but in Selaginella, the gametophyte partially depends on the sporophyte. So, the answer is Nephrolepis and Selaginella, answer number 1. The 17th question, release of which of the following hormones is stimulated by water deficit? The answer is abscisic acid. So when water is reduced, or when water is less to conserve water, the plant releases abscisic acid. The 18th question, which of the tissue and location combination is correct? So if we consider these tissues, so they have given two connective tissues, loose connective tissue and adipose tissue, and then they have given three epithelial tissues. So if we consider loose connective tissue, it is also known as areolar tissue. It is found under the skin and throughout the body. So here they have given tendons, that is wrong. So in tendons and ligaments, we find dense connective tissue, also known as fibrous tissue. So the first answer is wrong because loose connective tissue is just found under the skin. The second answer, they have given adipose tissue. Adipose tissue is not found in the lining of the mouth. So in these linings, we can find epithelial tissues, but adipose is a connective tissue, so that is wrong. The third statement, stratified squamous epithelium. So if we consider stratified squamous epithelium, this is the main function of this is to protect against abrasion. So it is found in these linings of the upper gastrointestinal tract, the anus, the vagina. So that is correct. So the answer is the third one. If we consider the fourth statement, they have given simple cuboidal epithelium is found in the intestine. That is wrong because in the intestine we find this simple columnar epithelium. The fifth one, pseudostratified epithelium. It's not found in the kidney tubules. In the kidney tubules, we can find the cuboidal epithelials. The pseudostratified epithelium is mainly found in the respiratory tract. So the correct answer is the third one. Then the 19th question, in which of the following will the release of 1 result in the stimulation of 2? So here we know gastrin. Gastrin is a hormone. Gastrin will stimulate the production of gastric juice. So the statement A is correct. Gastrin stimulates the production of gastric juice. Then statement B, cholecystokinin. Cholecystokinin actually helps to release bile from the gallbladder. So here they have given cholecystokinin helps in the secretion of gastric juice. That is wrong. It releases bile. This statement C, secretin. Secretin stimulates the release of bicarbonate from the pancreas. So that is correct. So the correct answers are A and C only. So answer number 4. The 20th question, which of the following is most likely to happen if tricuspid valve of the human heart does not close properly? So this is the structure of the human heart. We have the right side to the left side. So right atrium, right ventricle, left atrium, left ventricle. So this, what they have labeled as TV, is the tricuspid valve, and it is found in between the right atrium and the right ventricle. So the first statement, they say right atrium will not completely empty during the atrial systole. So we know when the atrial systole is when these atria contract. When the atria contract, if this is not closed properly only, if it is open, only the atria can completely empty the blood. So the first one is wrong, because during the atrial systole, the tricuspid valve has to open to let the blood flow from the atria to the ventricle. The second statement, they say the left atrium will not completely empty during the atrial systole. That is wrong. So the tricuspid valve is found in the right side. It does not affect the left side. The third statement, amount of blood that flows into the right atrium will be reduced. That is wrong, because blood will flow from the atria to the ventricles, and it does not affect the flow of blood into the right atrium by any means. The fourth statement, amount of blood that flows into the lungs will be reduced. That is correct. So in the atrial systole, the right atria will contract and empty blood into this right ventricle. So when the ventricles contract during ventricular systole, the ventricles will contract to pump blood to the body organs and to the lungs. So the right ventricle contracts and thereby blood flows into the lungs. So when the right ventricle is contracting, if this valve here, if the tricuspid valve is not closed properly, some of the blood will flow upwards as well. So that means not all the blood will flow into the lungs. So if this valve is open or slightly opened or not closed properly, the amount of blood which flows into the lungs from this right ventricle can be reduced. So that is the answer. The answer is answer number 4. The fifth statement, again, they talk about the left atrium, the left side. So that is wrong, because the tricuspid valve is found in the right side of the heart. So the answer is answer number 4.